Welcome back to Sinai Ministry Online. We're back again Sunday, and we're excited. We've been talking about the past. And we're excited to share with you what God is doing in your life, even though you might not know it. And this is what I'm going to talk to you about today, because a lot of the times we're so busy and occupied trying to focus on what we've been talking about, which is leaving the past behind. Okay, so we have to focus on that, and we have to a lot of the times fight against that and win this battle of overcoming the past and overcoming the accusations of the enemy against us because of things we have done or things people have done to us, injustice. Okay, so we have to move on from there. We talked about being stuck between two worlds, being stuck between the past, the present, not being able to move, being a statue of salt in the case of Lot's wife. And we talked about getting out of Dodge in the last Sunday. We talked about getting out of Dodge, getting out of places that keep reminding you of the same thing. Places that are toxic, that are not good for your improvement, for your growth. So you have to get out of Dodge, get out of Bethsaida in the case of this blind man, where Jesus takes him out, gets him out of a place to give him his blessing, to heal him from his blindness. And I think that's what God wants to do with us. So today I'm excited to share with you how God, even though the past a lot of the times becomes a hazard, becomes a tool in the enemy's hands, okay? And this is where it gets a little bit interesting, okay? It becomes a tool in the enemy's hands, but it becomes a blessing in God's hands. And this is what I want to talk to you about. So let's look at the story of Joseph, okay? The story of Joseph is a famous story about a young man that got sold into slavery by his brothers. And I'm sure you've seen the movie. Disney has a movie for kids, and there's lots of movies about Joseph. If you don't know the story of Joseph, watch the movie, okay? Just YouTube it and you'll see the movie of Joseph, a tremendous movie about how God can use something that seems bad for good, okay? And this is what I want to talk to you about. So, our past, okay? A lot of the times the enemy comes and uses our past, while God is using the same thing that the enemy meant to do evil with to us. God is using it for our own good. So let's look at the story of Joseph. So Joseph gets sold by his brothers, okay? Now he has 11 brothers and they sell him into slavery. And if that's not enough, okay, he gets to a place, he becomes a slave and starts to prosper. And then he gets accused falsely. The woman of the man that he was working for accuses him falsely, and he ends up in jail. Okay, so now Joseph is in jail at the bottom of everything, and the question I'm thinking in his mind is, man, how am I gonna get out of this? Now, he had a dream. He had a dream that God gave him, and remember, Joseph was an interpreter of dreams. He knew how to interpret dreams, so he knew for sure that God gave him that dream. So now the question is, where does Joseph go from here? And this is where we're at right now. Where do we go from here? Okay, so what do we have to look forward to? And this is what God says to you. My plans for you are to bless you and to prosper you. Okay, those are the plans of God for you, and that's what you got to be waiting for. In the same way, this is what Joseph was waiting for. And even though he was in a situation where he thought, man, how am I going to get out of this? He still hoped, okay? He still had faith. Why do we know that? Because you never read in the Bible that Joseph complained about his situation. And that's exactly what happened, okay? Everything he hoped for, everything he put his faith in, God gave to him. So at the right moment, at the proper time, when Joseph was ready, here comes the blessing. And God comes in and gets Joseph out of jail, and he becomes the second in Egypt and saves an entire nation, okay? Not just the nation of Egypt, but goes and saves Israel, okay? He saves his brothers, okay? But this is the interesting part, that his past comes to him. His brother sold him. Now he has a chance to get even. But one thing Joseph understood, and this is what you have to understand, is that God was behind the scenes. the whole time. Okay? God was in charge of everything the whole time. And so Joseph recognized it and told his brothers, look, you guys thought you guys were doing wrong to me, but the whole time God was organizing all this to bring me to Egypt so I can save your very lives. Okay, so he forgives him because he took what happened not from his brothers, but he took it from God. In the same way, even though our past might seem dark, in the case of Joyce Meyer, you might want to listen to her testimony. She was molested while a young a girl by her father, and she had to forgive her father. And the very thing that the enemy meant for her to be hurt for the rest of her life, the very same thing, God has used it for a tremendous blessing. In Joyce Meyer, well, you know her ministry is just, she goes around the world motivating people to forgive, to let go, and to move on from their past. T.D. Jakes, another amazing testimony, how he started out. Now he becomes a great blessing for those people that endure different situations. He's a great motivator and a great preacher, a great man of God because of his past. Okay, and so you might say, well, you don't know my past. I don't have to know your past. God knows your past. And God is so powerful that he can use those very things that are hurting you or that hurt you. He can use those very things for you to be a blessing to someone else that might be going through the same things. But first, he's got to heal you. He's got to get you out of Bethsaida. He's got to get you well. And when you're well and when you're ready, you're going to be a blessing to many people. And this is what I want to share with you. I want to motivate you to keep going. Okay, don't stress out. Don't stress out about all these things. This is something that we got to do every day. Every day the enemy is coming at us. But every day we got to come to God because God is there to save us. And if you can understand this one thing, that you are in the potter's table. Okay, Jeremiah 18. Okay, you are in the potter's table and the potter is God. And he's shaping you. He's using situations in your life. He's moving things. He's putting pieces together. He's shaving a little piece here, a little piece there to bring to pass his plans in your life.